guys, welcome back to the vlog. On today's vlog, we're going to actually make some homemade bread. I have a really easy recipe that only has a few ingredients and it's super easy to make. Now we are going to make it in the KitchenAid mixer just because it makes it a little bit faster and a little bit easier. But before we got the KitchenAid, we used to make it by hand with no issues. So if you don't have a mixer, don't feel put off. You can actually just knead it by hand. It just takes a little bit longer. So come on with me. I'll show you what we need for the recipe and then we'll go ahead and get started.
Okay, so for our bread, we need 2 cups of very warm water. I just use water as hot as I can get it out of my tap. That seems to work very well. 1 teaspoon of sugar, 2 teaspoons of dry instant yeast, 4 cups of all-purpose flour, or if you choose, you can take 2 cups of all-purpose flour and 2 cups of wheat flour, or any combination thereof. I find that you need at least 2 cups of all-purpose flour to make a good loaf of bread. And then you also need a teaspoon of salt to give the bread some flavor. And of course, you're going to need a greased loaf pan or another pan of your choosing. This can be made as like a rustic loaf, or it can be used to make all sorts of things, such as rolls and hamburger buns, hot dog buns, that sort of thing. So you need a pan that's greased.
All right, we're ready to cook. Say hi, helper.
Hi, Hop.
Say hi, everybody.
Hi, Dad.
Okay, so my helper is actually going to help me make bread. He helps me make bread often, and he's pretty good at it. So,
Hi, Dad.
put the 2 cups of water in the mixer.
Uh-huh.
Pour it in. Make sure it goes in the bowl. Good job. Okay, give me that one. Can you put the sugar in the bowl on the yellow plate? Put it in the bowl. Good job. And put the yeast on the purple plate. There, good job. And now we're going to give it a little mix. Mama's going to put the mixer on. And we close it. Lock it. Can you turn that on? Just to the first one. Just up a little. There. We just slosh the yeast and sugar around. Now we're going to let that sit. I like to let my yeast dissolve a little bit. In the meantime, we're going to take our 4 cups of flour. No, don't dump it yet. And dump our teaspoon of salt into the flour. We do not put the salt in with the yeast and the sugar because it'll kill the yeast. So I take it and I mix it a little bit in the... Not yet. So we'll be back in... I usually let it sit... Oh, I don't know. How long do we let it sit, Xander? Like 2 minutes, maybe. And we'll be back when it just starts to foam, and we'll dump it in then. Okay, welcome back. Say welcome back.
Bye.
Okay, let's have a look at our yeast. As you can see, the yeast is dissolved, and you can see these white sort of wispy lines in here. That's the yeast starting to work, and you see the foam around the clumps of yeast. So the yeast is good, which is good. Some people will let it actually foam up. I don't bother to do that because, quite frankly, I'm lazy and impatient. But anyway, 4 cups of flour with our salt in it. So you're going to dump this in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can Mama help you so it goes all in?
Me.
Okay, Mama can't help today. Make sure it goes all in. Whoa. Okay, all in except for the container. Bang the container. Tap, tap.
Tap, tap.
Good job. All right, so
Monday.
now I do have that little bit of extra flour in reserve. We had to lock it first. Okay, turn it on 1. Just on low. You want help? Help Mama. I do have a little bit of flour, like I say, in reserve because sometimes just weather dependent, you'll need it and sometimes you won't. So I put this on low because if you put it any higher, it's going to make a big mess. A big mess, yes, a big mess. You can take that to the sink if you want to do something helpful. Just until this starts getting incorporated, and then you can just turn it up a little bit. You're going to eat the flour, are you? How'd that taste? How's that taste? I don't think it tasted very good. You already dumped it, yeah. You did a good job.
Yeah.
Does it taste good? No, I didn't think so. So you can see the ball of dough coming together, and then we can start to turn it up, and it'll actually need it. I don't think we're going to need a whole lot extra flour today. But we'll see once we get it going. If it sticks too much, then we'll put some extra flour in. But this looks pretty good. And of course, I'm trying to do it on the kitchen table here, and the kitchen table's shaking all over the place. So sorry if the video is not too clear. Okay, so you see, Mama talking. You see how that's sticking at the bottom of the bowl? So I turn it off, and I add maybe a tablespoon or two of flour, because you don't want to add too much.
We do that, Mama.
No, you can't do that one because you'll have the whole thing in there. And you gotta do it hard so that it flings the dough around and picks up all the extra stuff. I'm sorry, I know it's probably very noisy. There, now you can see how it's not sticking to the bottom of the bowl anymore. That's exactly what we want. So we don't need any more flour. And we're going to let this go for about 2 minutes, and then I'll show you the dough after about 2 minutes of kneading. Okay, that's a little less noisy, except for this. Who's mad because I moved his chair? You come up with the chair over here. And now you can see after a couple of minutes of kneading, it gets these kind of strings, it sort of looks like. That's the gluten starting to form in your bread, and it's starting to stick to the sides again. So, to me, this is a good dough. To some people, it might be too sticky, but I find it makes a better bread when it's sticky. But it's hard to handle and get into the pan. You going to test it? Remember how yucky it tastes, so you don't want to taste it. No. So, it's yucky, isn't it? Yeah. I find the easiest way to handle this dough is to actually take my hands and I put them in here. And I take the dough out with that and put it into the pan. Now, I can't do this one-handed, so I'm actually going to stop the camera and then I'll show you it in the pan. Okay, so I literally just throw it in the pan and then just kind of squish it down and try and get it kind of smooth. And then I'm going to let it rise. Now, I let it rise. It takes different times, different days. I let it rise till it's about this high out of the pan. So, however long that takes today, which it's nice and sunny out today, so it shouldn't be too bad. That's how long it takes. And when it just comes up to just the level of the pan, I'll turn the oven on to 425 and get it preheating. So we're going to let that rise, and I'll show you how big it is when it goes in the oven.
So this is the point at which I turn my oven on to 425 and let it preheat, and it will rise just enough by the time the oven's heated up to put it in. So this is how the loaf looks just before I put it in the oven. It could be a little tiny bit more, but I'm going to go ahead and put it in. We don't know quite what happened with this funny stretch marks on top, but hey, it is what it is.
Okay, so I think the bread's ready to come out of the oven. So let's have a look. Let's have a peek, shall we? Alright, it's nice and brown. It pops right out of the pan because the pan was well greased. Not as brown as I would like. It's hollow, but I know it's not quite done because it's not quite brown. So what I normally do at this point is I put it back in the oven and let it sit, and I turn the oven off. So by turning the oven off, it's going to finish that last little bit of cooking with just the residual heat that's in the oven. So I know that because I tapped on it and it sounds just starting to sound hollow, I know that it's pretty well done and it'll finish up in the oven and it won't get overcooked. So what I actually am going to do is I'm going to turn you around and show you how I crack the oven door open just to let a little bit of the heat out. So this is what I do just to let a little bit of the heat and steam out of the oven. So you can see my oven is off. The bread is in there. It's just sitting in there. Yeah, my window's dirty, I know. And I folded up a, oven mitt. I put it in here just to prop that open just a little bit. And I find that by doing this and turning the oven off and letting it finish those last couple of minutes in there, it'll be perfect.
So there you go. There's the finished bread. Looks pretty good. Tastes awesome. It's not the most pretty bread we've ever made, but hey, not too bad as far as I'm concerned. So if you like this video, please feel free to click like, and if you want to see more of our videos as we post them, please hit subscribe. Thanks, have a good day, bye now.